So it seems like Kamala and her VP, Tim, are doing everything and anything to get into the White House. And that's fine, we all have dreams. It's not gonna happen, okay? It's not. One of the things that is very interesting about what they're doing, though, is they're going about it in a way that is not, let's say, morally correct. Let's take Tim Walz, for example. He really is a fan of gun control. Probably more than Kamala. And we've talked about this before, but he had a big old speech in front of some anti-gun group saying that they need to ban guns that he carried in war. When in reality, he was never in war. He decided to drop out before he was ever deployed.
What I have been doing, I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons.
You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, yeah. Did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have.
So you, in fact, did not go to war, and you never carried a gun in war, let alone the guns that y'all are trying to ban. So I don't know, what do people do with that information? Should you be charged for stolen valor, or are we just going to let it fly? Now, that is a very deceptive way to get people on board with gun control. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong on a ton of different levels, both to people who have served, people who actually were in combat, and then just on a being intelligent level. It's like if you haven't done something and you're using that something in order to ban something else, you kind of just have to be a horrible person. Well, guess what? Kamala decided to go along a similar path. Let's call it false advertisement. Who's one of the most popular people in the conservative space online? Tucker Carlson. Kamala posts a letter the other day from a Tucker. Really? Thank you for writing to me. While we may not agree on every issue, we both know that every person in our nation should have the freedom to live safe from gun violence. The majority of Americans stand with us in support of common sense gun safety legislation. Okay, why don't we correct a few things before we even get into this fake letter? Gun violence is not a correct term. Guns don't create violence. People do. Also, the majority of Americans stand with us in support of common sense gun safety legislation. The majority of Americans own guns. Why would the majority of Americans want this common sense gun safety legislation if they own what you're trying to control? Anyways, let's read this letter. First of all, it looks like it was written by not an adult. I'm going to skip to the second paragraph here. In the spirit of establishing common ground, even though I am fairly conservative and we may have our disagreements, I'm writing to express my gratitude for yours and President Biden's effort to establish common sense gun safety laws. Owning firearms is every American's constitutional right. Like all things, there needs to be reasonable regulation like age restriction, background checks, and mental health screenings. Thank you for heading the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Violence is spelled wrong. You really think Tucker Carlson wrote that? And for yours and President Biden's push for common sense gun safety laws. I look forward to seeing what the Biden-Harris administration accomplishes in this regard. Now, I think this is an honest attempt from Kamala to confuse every American. This would be like Trump posting a letter from a Joe saying, Trump, I think you're the best for the White House. We may disagree on some things, but I think you're the best. Signed, Joe. If he posted something like that, the Democrats would lose it. They would lose their minds. So I want everybody to ask themselves a Simple question. Do you think anybody in the world should be able to look up where you live, your address, your phone numbers, your relatives, your associates, even your emails? My answer is a gigantic no. Privacy is something that I think isn't valued enough nowadays. And it's why I'm honored to have Delete Me on this channel and sponsoring this video. I've been using their service personally for about 5 months, and they have pretty much removed me from all listing sites. They make opt-out requests on your behalf to data brokers. I just got my last report in. I'm essentially on none of these websites anymore. And they do it all for an extremely low price. So Delete Me is giving you the same deal they gave me. There's gonna be a linking code below the video. Go make sure your privacy is protected. So, we did a little bit of digging, and it turns out this is not even a real letter. It's not even a legitimate letter, like somebody wrote it and sent it in to her. It was created by AI. Let me just put this in perspective. The current sitting vice president posted a fake letter that was AI generated using a name of Tucker, and then responded to it like it was a legitimate letter that was sent in to her. Do you think that's an honest person? Do you think that's a person who has integrity? Do you think that's a person who legitimately cares about you? Or is that a person who's willing to try to cheat? I don't know. If I went on my YouTube account today and posted a picture of a letter to me from Donald Trump and said, wow, thanks so much for reaching out, and then you guys found out that it was AI, I would kind of look like an idiot, like I'm not genuine, like you guys have just been fooled the whole time. It's sickening for a couple of reasons. One, because you responded to it with, most Americans believe in common sense gun control. Really? Why would you have to create a letter about something that so many people apparently want, gun control? Why would you have to AI create one? Wouldn't you just have them if that many people wanted it? So that destroys your argument right there. If you have to fabricate something, it's kind of an issue. And then of course, Tucker had to troll her. He posted letter from a fan. And then at the end, signed Kamala. Pretty much drives the point home here. But I think this is a very solid point as far as the lengths that this administration is willing to go to screw with your head. Where's the honesty? Where's the integrity? Where is winning with morals? No, you guys would just rather cheat through it.